This is a couple weeks late, but I guess we'll start off with what is probably the most underrated film to come out this month, America the Motion Picture. Released on Netflix at around Independence Day, it received some pretty bad reviews, and I guess I'm going to go against the grain in saying that I love this movie. I decided to talk about it here in the hope that this at least does a little to help this movie find its audience. It was directed by Matt Thompson, one of the leading minds behind Archer, written by Dave Callahan, writer of The Expendables, Wonder Woman 1984, and Mortal Kombat. This is better than those other movies. And produced by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the team behind the Lego Movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. It's an R-rated animated retelling of the American Revolution with just a few historical inaccuracies. Like in the beginning, Benedict Arnold turns into a werewolf to kill Abraham Lincoln and George Washington goes to war to avenge him. This is a common misconception, but no, that didn't actually happen. What follows is a comedy that keeps trying to one-up itself in terms of absurdity, and the result is a laugh-a-minute fest. It has a feel like those Murica memes, except it actually keeps coming up with new outrageous ideas that keep it from becoming too much of a one-joke premise. And underneath that is an underlying satire on Americans' perception of history and occasionally even current topics. Like a scene near the end where a character's racist views are suddenly gone in like a few seconds seems like a commentary on how some people view the concept of racism in overly simplistic terms. The characters are all over-the-top action movie types. They're all built like a tank except for Thomas Edison, who's been turned into a Chinese woman because, I don't know if you've noticed, but they don't really care that much about historical accuracy here. But between all the ridiculous action sequences, these characters shine in dialogue scenes where we can clearly see the Archer in its DNA. It's also helped by the all-star cast including Channing Tatum, Simon Pegg, Andy Samberg, and more. I guess my main complaint with it, and possibly part of the reason that it isn't clicking so well with other people, is that there are points where it feels like it might be trying a little too hard to get that R rating, particularly with the language. And a few jokes don't land as well as others, but that's to be expected for a movie with this many humorous scenes. This is the perfect movie for a pure comedy that never takes itself too seriously. It's better than Archer has been in a few years. It's ridiculous and hilarious, and hopefully a future cult hit. I mean, there have been sillier comedies that have gotten that honor.
Alright, thanks a lot. It's time for us all to take a little break now. It's time for intermission. Okay, everybody, do this. Yeah, all the way to the back. Can I see you? I think I can. Correct!
A couple weeks ago, I talked about Summer of Soul, a documentary about a festival that has often been called the Black Woodstock. Now I'm going to talk about the other Woodstock. Woodstock 99, Peace, Love, and Rage aired on HBO last weekend, as the first episode in the music documentary anthology Music Box. From director Garrett Price, it discusses the infamous fiasco of a music festival. Fyre Festival is often seen as the ultimate failed music festival because, well, it's the funny one. Nobody actually got hurt, a bunch of rich influencers got ripped off, and nobody likes influencers. The second I start making money off this platform, I'll probably turn into a massive douche. Yeah, a lot of the poor workers got ripped off too, but we all collectively ignored that. Anyway, the point is that the same cannot be said about this one. Much worse happened here. So they were trying to make another Woodstock, except with noticeably less peaceful music. This was 1999 when loud, angry music was what was big in rock. However, like Fyre Fest, the event was horrifically mismanaged, including porta potties that overflowed and extremely overpriced water in very hot weather. And the crowd got rowdy, including multiple instances of violence, sexual harassment, and even sexual assault, all leading up to a riot where they burned the venue down. This documentary tells the events as a linear narrative where we can gradually see things get worse and worse. The events are edited together at just the perfect pace, and it feels like it's unfolding right in front of you. One standout is a reading of a journal of a concert goer who, let's not spoil it. It also goes into the kind of toxic culture that may have been behind it, and most of this insight is pretty thought-provoking. And I say most of it because some of it is less convincing. Mainly the attacks on the music itself. It portrayed nu metal as angry, misogynistic, and homophobic, which may not be completely false for certain bands, but I can't bring myself to buy into the implication that this played a role in what happened. Alright, yes, my Letterboxd review was an attack on Limp Bizkit, but in this case due to their behavior on stage where they kept riling up the crowd despite being told multiple times to tone it down. Yes, they may have played a role in what happened, but this is the only time you can convincingly say the music played any role in this. My son was a nice little boy until he started listening to that cursed rock and roll music. Now he's a pervert who starts fires at music festivals. Music is just music. Whatever scapegoat you blame, whether it's hard rock or violent video games or whatever, it didn't persuade them to do anything. They made their own decisions. To pin their actions on something else is basically saying that they shouldn't be held accountable for the things that they did. Can we all just accept that this may have just been because the frat boys that come to this kind of thing just suck in general? Fortunately, most of the commentary is about this. In addition to the whole bad management thing, this was all because it was an angry generation that wanted to rebel but really had nothing to rebel against. I know I've gone on for quite a bit about the more questionable aspects, but I still believe this is an above average documentary despite all of them. No, it's not perfect, but it's a great recount of this disaster of a festival. It's a disturbing look at the true nature of what's now bro culture.